Slash Sly Flourish. And today is Saturday. Normally I've been doing these on Sunday, but I have no regular schedule for these anyway. And we're going to talk about some D&D game preparation and talk about D&D and have a good time and drink some coffee. I hope you brought your coffee with you. I have the chat window open on Twitch, so if you have anything you'd like to talk about, jump on in and talk, and otherwise I will be monkeying around with the preparation for my game. Hello, Tilda de Wild. Afternoon. Where are we? Where it's afternoon already. I've got an hour left before afternoon. You must be in Europe or something like that, if I had to guess. What are we doing today? So today I am running, it's Tabletop Day, International Tabletop Day. I hope you guys are getting out. Amsterdam, cool. I hope you guys are getting out there to play some international tabletops. I will be playing D&D because I love me some D&D. And I am running for a friends and family game, which I run about once a month. And we usually run, we've run all kinds of things in this. We've run Baldur's Gate, the Murder of Baldur's Gate. We ran Legacy of the Crystal Shard, so the two adventures that were sort of between editions of D&D, and had a good time with those. We've run some one-shot stuff. I ran some Fantastic Adventures from my book, Sly Flourish's Fantastic Adventures. And what else? So recently we started Princes of the Apocalypse because it's one that my wife hasn't played. And nobody else in the group had played, and I had run it, but I ran it for a different group, and I thought it would be a fun one to hit up. Tyranny of Dragons, very cool. There's lots to talk about with Tyranny of Dragons. I have a whole bunch of articles on my website. If you go to slyflourish.com and click the start here, and then scroll down, there is a whole section of articles that I wrote about Princes of the Apocalypse. There's lots to do. It's a great adventure. But it needs a little, I think it behooves a DM to spend a little bit of time prepping for it because it's got some odd bits. I don't know if I'd run it the same way I ran it before, but I had a great time with it. It's very memorable. It was a 1 to 20 campaign that I ran. So Princes of the Apocalypse is what I'm going to be working on today. The group, for those of you who are familiar with for those of you who are going to be playing Princes of the Apocalypse, this will be full of spoilers. For those of you who have run it before, the group is right in the middle of all of the Red Lark craziness. And they found the sinkhole, and they're starting to uncover the fact that members of the town are corrupt. And there was a woman who was kind of steering them, who had clearly, like, they saw her ruse. She tried to get them out of town and tried to go, get them stuck into a trap. She sent them into like an old cave that she knew was full of dangerous stuff, and they didn't take the bait on that. But then they came back, and then like she's trying to get everybody away from this giant sinkhole when it's a giant sinkhole that clearly needs to be explored. So then she kind of took off on horseback and is riding off, and the characters are starting to uncover like, who was she and who are these bandit types. And I think they fought some bandits. This is hard because it was a month ago, right? So where the game started. I think they fought some bandits, and the bandits were clearly Earth cultists, like Earth cultist spies. So the strong start, where this game is going to... so first of all, we start with the characters. We normally have 6 characters, but 2 of them can't come today, so we'll have 4. And it's still early. Like, this is only our second session, so I don't know a lot about the characters, and I really should have more about them. This is probably a common thing. This is like, I should write more on my blog. I should have more information about the characters than I have. And today, one goal will be to kind of dig into the characters and learn more about who they are, what they want, what their connections are, and remind me about their background. And since there's only 4, it's easier to do. I find 4 to actually be the real sweet spot for D&D 5e, that it gives everybody enough screen time. You can really kind of focus on people and what they do. They're not going to be constantly talking over one another. Everything moves quickly. Like, decisions happen faster. Combat happens faster. You can get a lot more done with 4. Combat is more balanced. Like, it's easier to kind of tune a fight when there's 4. The only problem is if you're used to running battles for 6, you're going to just eat 4 characters up. So you have to be real careful to lower it, because the sort of power creep of 5e is what do they call it? Triangular. The more people you have, it doesn't go up linearly. It goes up triangularly, I think. I don't know what that means, really. Math. But it means that for everyone you add, you have more, the power is greater than just that addition. And likewise, everyone you remove, the drop is less than that. And it's because your actions go down, but the synergy of the characters goes down, and the overall range of capabilities of the characters either goes up or down when you remove them. So 4 is very different than 6, but it's very manageable when you're well tuned around 6. So where is the game gonna start? If we're gonna find it's easier to work with a group of 5, sometimes. Yes, Trey Kane, thank you for that. Yeah, this is why I aim for 6. Lately, I've been aiming for 5, and and that way, if one person, I could theoretically run with 3. So if 2 people can't show up, I could probably still run a D&D game. It wouldn't be as great, but if we really wanted to play D&D, 3 is okay. 3 is manageable. 4 is perfect. 5 is also fine. 6 is hard, and 7 I can't do it. Like my game's gonna suck if I have 7 people. I just can't pay enough attention, and things take too long, and my head gets frazzled and I get impatient. So I really try to run with 6. But lately, what I used to do is I had a regular group of 6, and then had an on-call list of people that I could call who would from time to time enjoy jumping into a D&D game for a one-shot. And I tried to keep a handful of those. And then if fewer than 4 started to go, then I would start hitting the on-call list and try to get some people to show up. But if it was, if one person can't make it, we can still run. And if fewer than that, if 2 people can't make it, I can start hitting the on-call list, which means that, generally speaking, 4 people have to not be able to make it for me to not have a game. Maybe even 5, right? A lot of people have to bail. So that on-call list, and I wrote about this on D&D Beyond, by the way. I have an article there on D&D Beyond about how to find and build a group, and part of it is how to build an on-call list. Just people that like D&D but probably don't want to commit to a full-time game that you can keep on hand, and then when you want somebody to fill in, they can fill in. It works really well. But you're right, that's tricky. And I think it's sort of it's difficult to, in my world anyway. It's different. Everybody's different. But for my groups, I cannot count people. People have lives and they're busy. Like the 2 people that couldn't make it today, it's because they have they have a family medical problem, right? And I'm not gonna say well, sorry about your stepfather or your father-in-law. You got to come to D&D. Right? Like life is taking over. So, and a lot of the people that are coming to this game in particular are driving more than an hour to get here. So lots of things can get in the way, and I need to keep the group flexible and recognize the fact that sometimes people aren't going to be able to make it. Where's the game going to start? Outside of the sinkhole. And what kind of cool event could take place? How about some kind of some kind of fun elemental event would be good. I should have brought some dice with me. Damn, why didn't I bring some dice? You know what? I'll be back in 15 seconds. I'll go grab some dice. This is how we stream in the professional world. We run upstairs and grab dice. So I have here an easy roller dice rolling box, and it is my favorite. Easy roller dice are awesome. I don't think you can see that. I'll dump all my dice on the floor, full of metal dice. It is my favorite set of dice. This is my home set. I run games away from home on Sundays. You probably see me tomorrow on the Twitch. I'm out of breath from running up and down the stairs. Okay, so what was I rolling on? Yes, what elemental thing? Let's see, fire, earth, air, water. We'll roll, and earth it is. And the earth is good because the whole thing that's happening down there is earth-based. So how about an earthquake? They're kind of earthy monsters, right? What are some low-level Earth monsters? Let's go to our... Does D&D Beyond break down monsters by... Is there a way to say ones that are like earthy? Elemental. I can do that. Let's go for elemental monsters. And what are some? Zero fire. I'm looking for earth elementals. Too much. Galibdur is too much. Gargoyles would be fun. A couple of gargoyles. Yeah, that makes sense. Just kind of skimming through the monster list to see. Zorn. Are Zorns evil? They're neutral. But a Zorn, CR5, that might be fun. They are level 4. So 4. Yeah, I think a Zorn attack would be good. An earthquake and a Zorn attack. So the earthquake, big crack in the earth. That'll be kind of a nice aspect. And a Zorn will burrow its way up. And perhaps they will discover so they are chasing someone, and she could have stuck that a glyph on the ground, and the glyph could have caused the earthquake and caused the Zorn to come up. So that's a fun, I tried it with all of the encounters that occur. I try to, have them elementally themed. A Zorn makes sense. I mean, Earth Elementals make sense. They're going to fight so many Elementals. I just don't want to keep dropping Elementals on them. Gargoyles aren't bad, too. If I had more characters, I'd throw Gargoyles at them. But given that there's only 4 and a Zorn is CR5, I think, I think that'll probably be enough. It has a big bite. Okay, 3 claw attacks and a bite attack, so it does 4 attacks. That's pretty rough. Gargoyles are fun too, though. You can maybe do gargoyles. I'm not sure. So let's go back to D&D Beyond. I assume that my same browser window shows up. Yes, it does. So even though I've got tabs, it shows up. So let's go back to Adventures. And let's go to Princes of the Apocalypse. So you guys that are in chat, have any of you played Princes of the Apocalypse? I know when I talk, there's like a 10-second delay before it shows up to you guys, so I'll have to wait. Where is Red Lark? Red Lark, yes. The Believers. So I have to remember the name of there's one woman that they're chasing. There's so many. Kalyssa Urkel is a good. I'll put her down in the NPCs. Proprietor of the Swinging Sword. Sorry, text messages. 4. One of my players is like, "What level are we?" I said, "Level 4." But the one that they were chasing, she was the one that runs the... Does she run Mother Yolantha? Sorry, I'm reading through these to try to find the... There was a woman that was clearly kind of deeply involved in the whole. Is it Jalissa? There's a lot of like NPCs in this adventure. Whalver, here we are. Ilmith Whalver. And I think I made Ilmith a woman. So that is the more important. There's a bunch of others, but it's like it's so hard for me to keep track of like who are members of the Believers. These names suck too. Names are hard to pronounce. Yeah, I just got that. Beginning of the session, are we level 3 or 4? I said they 4 or 5. I'm like, yep, you guys are level 4. But the nice thing is I haven't played it enough. Following along as you read through. This may have been the first time I've read about a Zorn. Yeah, Zorns are interesting. I did just look at the stats, but really we ought to read the text on them. It's always worth. It's always worth reading the actual text. Elemental travelers. They can glide through dirt. I don't know. Gargoyles might make more sense. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about the Zorn. Like, it's an interesting creature, and they might run into it. But the problem is they're not inherently evil, and they're not like servants of powerful creatures. Gargoyles are. So I might switch that to gargoyles. Also, more, a couple of smaller monsters is usually better than a single big one. Cruel servants. Yeah. Yeah, I think these guys would be fun. So I think we'll do a couple of gargoyles instead of the Zorn. Ilmith. Yeah, well, yeah. So actually, describing the gargoyles, you can kind of make them not so gargoyle-y. They can be more earthy, earth made of stone, sort of demonic stone creatures, and that also fits because the earth cultists, they wear sort of like weird gargoyle-ish masks. So to see creatures that are actually kind of formed of those masks would be kind of neat. I think that's a fun sort of culty idea. Now down below, where is it? Where's the there is a let's see. Tomb of Moving Stones, right? Yeah, so this is where the Great Sinkhole is. So they still have this Tomb of Moving Stones to go through. They have not gone through to T2 yet, and I think there's a evildoer in here. Larrick or something? I don't think they've met the Bringers of Woe. Yeah, Larrick is a kind of their villain. sorry. I think me reading is probably lame-ass streaming. I'm trying to think about why Larrick would stay. If the things are already going bad, what would make Larrick... why would he stay? And perhaps he just, like the whole moving stones thing, he's trying to figure it out and he can't leave it, right? Maybe like he's been held here. What scenes will take place? The earthquake. Potentially returning to town. Going back to the tomb. What's this place called? Moving Stones. They might begin to travel out into the valley. They have a few hooks already. I don't remember which ones. They wrote them down, and of course I should have written them down because that's where they're going to be heading. I don't know if they know about the monastery. I think they might already have heard about the monastery. Which is a shame because typically you would expect that they would go to the town and then to the... I guess the water keep led to the monastery. There's a section called Shallow Graves where they uncover the attack against the Mirabar delegation, and it leads them to figure out that they were grabbed up and then taken to the water. I want to have a griffin, so I want them to get a hint of all four of the elements, right? So they should see griffins, armored griffins flying. They should they should see sort of people get, pilgrims. Can't spell. The pilgrims will be heading to, the fiery place. This is the wrong section. Where is it? Scarlet Moon Hall. So they begin to... There's kind of pilgrims heading towards Scarlet Moon Hall. I'll hear about some piracy on the river. And all of the other Earth stuff leads them to the monastery. So lots of stuff. But what I want to do is I don't want to push any one element greater than the other three. I would like all of them to sort of be exposed. So that way the party can say, do we want to go after, which one of these do we want to go after, There's kind of hints like, well, I really want to deal with pirates, or I want to check out this weird cultist guy. There's more than just I want to do the fire one. It's So there's apparently a very charismatic priest who's kind of getting the small folk interested, or there's one of those armored griffins. That's crazy. Armored knights on griffins. Maybe we see them kind of heavy to the west. Maybe we could go track that down, and then they get to Featherspire. So some of these I think are going to be secrets and clues. I forgot to mention, so the outline that we're using here is the outline for Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master. It's an 8-step process for game preparation. Who are the characters? What's your strong start? What scenes might take place? What secrets and clues might get discovered? What fantastic locations might they explore? What NPCs might they meet? What monsters might they face? And what magic items might they acquire? One does not need to do all of these. I think that one can be pretty well prepared by just doing where's the game going to start and what secrets and clues can be uncovered. That's the 5-minute version of this. Is if you really don't have time for anything else, just get a strong, find a way for the game to start and have some secrets and clues, and then cannibalize everything else. Use old maps from other adventures, use random encounters, random tables to kind of come up with encounters. You can build fantastic locations by using some kind of fantastic location generator. I've got some on my website, and my book will have them. But secrets and clues are sort of the sinew that tie an adventure together, so it's worth having 10 pieces of. That's an extremely lazy Dungeon Master guide. Yeah, that's the point. I mean, eight steps is actually significantly bigger than it was in the original Lazy Dungeon Master, but I really said, like, for an inclusive, for a fully kind of inclusive group, what are the ones that really people tend to do, and what are the ones that are really useful? And none of these are not useful. Like, all 8 steps are useful. But sometimes you don't need them. And you'll see, like, for fantastic locations, I really don't need them because there's plenty of fantastic locations already in this adventure, and I just have to get them there. Yeah, the 2-question version is it is lazy, but secrets and clues are hard, and you can pack a lot of stuff into secrets and clues. Secrets and clues are like one-line things, you'll see. One-line things that the characters might discover somewhere in the adventure. You don't know where they're going to find it, but some way in a conversation with an NPC, or they're going to have a dream, or they're going to learn about it by exploring a sword, or they're going to see a carving on a wall. A whole bunch of different things can expose a secret or clue to them. And these are the clues of like a clue game, right? Of an investigation game. What are the things that you discover? But instead of having like hard ones where they better find this one thing, you can say, I want them to learn, and you heard me say it, that like, I want them to learn something about all 4 of the cults that are operating. So, so that's a secret. I need a map. Secrets of the Somber. Oh, look, Secrets of the Somber Hills. You find outlining them beforehand, it prevents you from also giving too much information. I tend not to worry about giving too much. I have a tendency of giving too much. But, maybe your groups are different than mine, but a lot of times I think I have to be careful about, like, they're not getting it anyway. And so sometimes giving away a little too much, I'll come up with new ones, right? And it's not all about the constant mystery and at the end is the big reveal. Sometimes the reveal can happen early. I don't know. So I was talking about Tomb of Annihilation, and there's like a big reveal at the end of Tomb of Annihilation. But I think I'm going to foreshadow that very early so that they know I already did, right? The character's like level 4, and they already kind of saw what's at the end. And that's, they don't know what it is or why. There's lots of things they don't know, but they did see it. And the same is true with this. Like, everybody knows we're playing an elemental adventure, and every one of the all the players that are at my table are experienced D&D people. They have played what is it? The Temple of the Elemental Evil. So they're used to elemental based things. They know about the cult. They know about Tharzadoon, right? So yeah, you don't want the clue. I find that erring on the side of offering too much information is better than hanging on. Your results may vary, and there's probably good reasons to do the opposite. So I'm just giving I think secrets and clues are like whatever is useful to you. I do find outlining beforehand. It's the kind of thing that I cannot improvise. Like that's why I do them. This is the stuff that fuels improvisation. Because if you think about it, I don't know how they're going to learn this, and that's cool. But I know they'll learn something. Yeah, I mean, if you feel like you're giving too much, how does the group feel? Does the game get boring? If the game is boring and they already know everything they want to know, and there's nothing left to discover, that can be a problem. Like if you can't come up with 10 secrets and clues, that might mean that the game could get boring because there's not anything to discover. But sometimes they can be all sorts of stuff. I was trying to find a map. Where's the map of the Desert Valley? Because I want to make sure I got the location right. That's Red Lark. One thing that chaps my ass about the Red Lark map is it's not oriented north up. There we go. Okay, so where is this is the whole Desert Valley, right? Yeah, this is everything. So Feathergale Spire is east. Wow, so it's not far from these other things. They're all right around each other. Look at that. That's crazy. Southwestern Sumber Hills. Lands to the... So they might actually, and the characters kind of travel through there. They might actually see it. So that's one. Whoops. That's 2. So now I've got 1 for air. I've got 1 for fire. So strange swimming pirates. And well, we need an earth one. Did I have this right? Not sure where they got ambushed. I think it was along the Cairn Road and then taken, yeah. The unmarked graves. There's your earth one. So there's 5. What'd you guys say? I find giving a reveal early keeps my players engaged in. Yeah, right. Always affable. You don't want mystery boxes, right? You don't want like, oh, you pick up this one clue and it's like, yeah, I've got 50 clues. I don't know what any of them mean, right? You want clues that matter, and it's a difference in storytelling. If you think about TV shows, I love watching sort of like serial TV shows, and 2 that come to mind, and one I use for examples all over the place, is the show Deadwood. And Deadwood was a 3-season HBO show, kind of ended early. But there were no surprises in Deadwood. Like, there were lots of surprises. There were surprising things that occur, but there wasn't a mystery, right? There wasn't this like, well, who is this really? Like, you knew who Al Swearingen was pretty early on, and the only interesting thing was watching Al Swearingen, his character change. He went from like getting ready to murder a young girl to murdering the murderers who ambushed them, because he said, yeah, that's going to be easier, right? Like, oh, in the long run, that's going to be an easier thing to deal with. And he's like, well, somebody's got to, whoever's connected to me has to die, and it's either the murderers or the people they attacked. But there wasn't a mystery that occurred. It's just watching characters do things, and you're interested because you don't know what they're going to do, and you don't know how they're going to collide. You kind of see the changes that occur in the characters, but you also know that who they are. So you know that Sheriff Bullock is, he's very lawful good for the most part, right? So seeing how is Bullock and Al Swearingen, who's pretty chaotic evil, pretty much maybe at best chaotic neutral, how are they going to clash, right? And then when you've got, the lawful evil guy who shows up, who's the big miner who's going to try to take over the town, watching that collide is really fun. But there's no mystery, right? Sometimes there's mysteries like, who is that guy? They keep calling him the Colonel, but who that Colonel of what, But that's not like a mystery that needs to be solved. Battlestar Galactica is my example of the opposite, which is the beginning credits have a mystery. The beginning credits say there are 9 known Cylon models, and 5 of them we know, but 4 of them we don't. And the truth was, the writers didn't even know who the Cylons were. They just pretended, and they said, we'll figure it out later. And it sucked when they did, because they just like, well, it has to be somebody meaningful, so we'll pick 4 meaningful characters. But it didn't make any sense. They clearly were making it up as they went. So that mystery box problem is like, the same. There's lots to talk about J.J. Abrams and mystery boxes, and that's why the last 2 Star Wars movies are so interesting, is there was lots of mystery boxes in the first, and the second one they took all the mystery boxes and threw them away, literally. In one case, threw it away. And Lost was that way. Like, I don't think they knew at the beginning of Lost the way it was going to end or what was really going on. They just kind of kept going along and stringing us along with a bunch of weird-ass clues. And I could tell right away, like, they're just messing with me. And mostly because I got burned in X-Files. X-Files did that. So I don't think in my games, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have, like, crazy mysteries that are only be uncovered later. I like to see... things to occur, right? Events are happening. And even if the characters know what's going on, they're still interested in, like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? Like, when you stop the cult of Earth, what is the air cult going to do? Right? That's one of the fun things about this adventure is it evolves. This is some kind of an unsung feature of this. I know that I think Merrick Merrick Blackman has talked about this. One of the fun things about the way this adventure is written is as you're screwing with one side, there is an imbalance that is causing another thing over here. So like which elemental prince is going to become sort of the prince of the apocalypse? The characters are the ones who drive that by choosing which ones they're going to go after. And that's fun. So it's probably too long about mysteries, but that's how I feel about mysteries. You want them to find things out, but the things they find out, I don't think you need to hang on to the core, like... How interesting is a murder mystery? It'd be interesting to have a murder mystery where you know who the murderer is right away, and the difficulty is in bringing them to justice, not in finding out who they are, right? And the justice part, that's hard. It turns out it's the king's son, right? It's a serial killer, but he's the king's son, and in a theocracy, not a theocracy, monarchy. I have 5 clues. I need more. There was a lot of interesting... Well, one of the things I was reading... Like, I'd played this adventure before, but I kind of forgot all this. There's a lot of great history in here. So, look at this. Here's this whole section on the history. So, we're going to throw some of this history. 'Old bones'. I like that phrase. These lands have old bones. 'So secrets and clues can also be bits of history. TR Bessel. 500 years ago. That's lots of secrets. I think that's good. There's actually more secrets. Like, there's actually stuff below, even below the Besselmere ruins. But so this gives a good bit of shit that's going on right now, and shit that went on 5,000 years ago, and you can kind of mix them all together. One of the characters is a dwarf, so that, like, kind of exploring the Besselmere dwarves and maybe, you know, finding the ruins of Tyr Bessel will be really interesting. I like this section though. If you read Prince of the Apocalypse, this history section that they've got in whatever chapter it is, chapter 2, it's got lots of good stuff in here, and it's got good dates. Early in the adventure, there's sort of a summary, and the summary doesn't have good dates. So now actually knowing, like, 5,000 years ago, whatever, those are worthwhile. So that's cool. Fantastic locations. I've got 15 minutes to finish this up. Then I gotta eat, have some lunch before the game. What fantastic location. So they are exploring the Tomb of Mubin. I'm gonna have a limitless dungeon. And that includes caves, castle, no sewers, mines, dungeon, crypt, tower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What am I missing? And these are, if they decide to explore, this is all going to be in the toilet in the tomb. But there'll be like a cleared set of caverns beneath, and if they decide to go down into it, I am going to drop on them some of the fantastic lairs, the lazy lairs from the workbook. I even set up a little screen here to show you. This is the current prototype of the what's going on? The current prototype of the Lazy Dungeon Master Workbook. I just finished the second draft of this yesterday and sent it off to Scott Fitzgerald Gray, and he and his son-in-law are going to be doing development work on it. They're going to kind of check it out and see what makes sense and see how it falls apart and try out the mechanics and everything like that. And then Scott will also be doing the editing, and then Mark Radel will be doing design, and then this will be the second of the 2 books for the Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master Kickstarter. I've even got a little copyright page. I did all the formatting for this one, but it's mostly just to get the things out there. Here's your Lazy DM preparation process. There's my Esmeralda the Lich. She's on the cover. Reference pages. Random name. Look at those random names. I actually spent about a morning reading aloud all of these names. It's about 300 and some names on there, to make sure they didn't sound stupid, because stupid sounding names are bad. I also wrote a Python script that generated surnames, and then I read through a whole bunch of those to make sure they don't suck. I did the same thing for traps. Here's a nice trap generator. Ancient monuments. We were talking about how to come up with fantastic adventures or fantastic locations. This is one way you can build some ancient monuments. Items. This is all different kinds of items. Everything from very mundane items to weird items to magical items to powerful artifacts. You can build off all of this one big chart. Town events was a new one. This is a good fun one where you can figure out what's going on in town, what's the notable weather that day, what's the general sentiment of the town, and what fantastic events are occurring. So you can sort of have like 4 different events. And I wrote a random simulator for this too that generated a whole bunch just to see that made sense. Dungeon monster tables. I stole this idea from the original Dungeon Master's Guide. There is a dungeon level. How deep do you go? And for that dungeon I was just talking about, if they go down deep, I will start pulling out these levels. And then you roll monsters, and then here's a 10 monster tables. Everything from a bandit to an ancient red dragon is on this list. These are all monsters that are in the SRD. They're all monsters that make sense for a dungeon, whatever a dungeon it happens to be, but they're not environmental, because Xanathar's Guide has much better environmental random encounter tables than these. But it's a nice quick reference. How to build encounters, including a chart. Guidelines for theater of mind combat, recently re-edited. And the Lazy Lairs. I stole some artwork from my old book. And the Lazy Lairs are caves There's a cave map. The temple. Oh yeah, the temple's one of the. Temple map by Derek Ruiz. Daniel Walthall did this guy. Derek Ruiz did this guy. Sewers. That is a Daniel Walthall sewer. That is a Derek Ruiz dungeon. Oh, that's the catacombs, right? So the idea is, like, as they're diving deep, they're going to hit these, right? There's all these things in here. And this one's kind of interesting. You could do a little one here. That's the cellars, you know, like you go beneath the town, but then there's like a whole secret lair underneath the cellars. Docks doesn't make much sense. There's the dock map. Dungeon, an actual dungeon, like a place where they keep people they don't like. Mines, dwarven mines, and the wizard's tower. I love this wizard tower map. It's so awesome. It's designed so that you don't know what the shape of the tower is. This could be embedded in rock, or it could be actual circular. It could be, you know, in a sphere. You could kind of build these levels, but there's 4 levels, and then a ethereal level here that's like a secret treasure room off the thing, and then the castle. Miska Friedman did the castle map. I'm still waiting for the annotated version, but it's pretty cool. And then the fill-in pages. These are the pages that you can use to fill in information as you go. Here's your campaign planner. And this is all OGL. That is the Lazy Dungeon Master Workbook. And I might use it if the characters dig too deep. They can hit all of these guys, and I can figure out how to make these levels so that, like, they're traversing down. They go down, they find caves. They go beneath the caves, they find an ancient dwarven castle. They go beneath that, they see dwarven mines, and then a dungeon that's maybe even older than the dwarves, and then a temple to gods that forgotten for 5,000 years, and then a crypt, and then a tower. And every time they go down, it's like, this is 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. And if they go down to the tower, they're fighting, you know, God knows what kind of monsters. Really bad monsters. Dungeon level 10 would be bad. And I'll roll it up randomly. We'll see what they get. You know, go to the monster table, right? And you say, if they're down to dungeon level 10, we roll, uh-oh, bad for them, 17. 17 is table 9. We go to table 9 and we roll a d12. What's in table 9? 4. They find Rakshasa. What the hell are the Rakshasa doing down there? So, who knows? Running into Rakshasa is no good. That's fun. And then you go and quickly read the monster manual entry on the Rakshasa. All I know is their hands go the wrong way. All right. Enough of that. That's your preview for... So, fantastic locations. They've got that. And then they have all of the other fantastic locations are all really in the book. Featherspire, the Scarlet Stone Monastery, all that. NPCs I did before. Monsters, I'm going to use the random encounters, but they are going to fight gargoyles, right? But the rest of it is all in the book. I really don't need to set up anything. Magic items. So this is one where it's worth looking at the characters. Armor would be nice. Light weapons are good. So armor, light weapons, maybe magic. I think that our Goliath Bard has the Wand of Magic Missiles. He picked that up earlier, found out he could use it. So light armor, heavy armor, light weapons, and heavy weapons are all good. I don't remember who has what kind of magic items, so I'll probably have to wing it. Tuning things around the elements is always kind of nice. So I can use a random item generator, but I will probably either stick to what the book has. It'd be nice to have like one magic item, and Larrick could have something, But so Larrick is an earth priest, so maybe like a warhammer. I don't know what. I have to kind of. I think it's probably worth spending a little time early today, and since I only have 4, I can say, like, what are the kinds of things you guys like? What do you want for your characters? What are the items that get you excited? And then I can sort of work off that over time. That's called the loose wish list. You don't ask for exactly what they want. You instead say, generally, what do you like? Oh, I like light armor and I like great swords. And you're like, okay, good to know. What else? And then, but sometimes it's fun to throw weird ass stuff that they've not seen. So I'll probably generally generate this randomly, but I really need to ask. for a loose wish list. So, as I try to do and as I recommend, how do I feel about the game today? And I tell you, the time when I feel good is when I've done my secrets and clues. Once I have secrets and clues down, like, these are good. And like, now I've got interesting things to tell the characters. I know where the game's going to start. I know about the sinkhole and the earthquake. That's going to be fun. People are going to be like, oh my God, what's going on with this? And then they're going to have to make some choices about where they want to explore, and I'm ready for them to go in any direction. And whatever they explore, they will learn about this stuff, right? They'll learn more about the Mirabar delegation. They'll learn, there's probably more town stuff I don't have in here. But I can wing a lot of that. How many secrets do I have? I think I have more than 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I have 11. That's fine. Too many. 11's fine. You don't want a whole ton. You can't look at them all. And you don't want too few, or you don't have enough information to last for a 4-hour game. So, yeah. So that is the improved Lazy Dungeon Master process. I've been using this for years, really, in theory, like since the one big change from Lazy Dungeon Master, the original Lazy Dungeon Master book, was the secrets and clues. That was enough for me to write a whole other book. I wrote a whole chapter on it on Sly Flourish about the importance of it. And I don't know that it resonated. I'm hoping it'll resonate more. People really love the 3x5 card stuff in Lazy Dungeon Master, and that's great, and I'm glad it works. I don't use 3x5 cards. I write stuff down like this. But you can still use it, right? And the secrets and clues, I could still prep a game and probably feel pretty happy about it on a 3x5 card, and there would be strong start and the secrets and clues. And the rest of this stuff I can figure out. If I'm running like a game without an adventure, then Fantastic Locations is a good one to add, because you want interesting places for people to explore. It's why I've wrote a whole book on just Fantastic Locations, is that's not an easy thing to improvise, and they always come up with cliche crap. So it's better to have some ideas about interesting places. And that's why I have the whole random monument, generator. So we got about 5 minutes left. Is there anything anybody wants to talk about? Any interesting D&D news going on you guys are excited about? I'm super excited for Mordenkainen's. That's coming out. I think it's coming out on D&D Beyond on my birthday, which is cool. I think it's coming out on the 17th of May. If not, it'll be at the 18th of May. I'm hoping to get the collector's edition from my friendly local game shop, and I'm hoping to get the... I'm definitely going to get the D&D Beyond version. I love D&D Beyond. In fairness, I have written for them, so I am biased. They are an employer, not a full. I have freelanced for them. But boy, I love it. It's a great tool. It's super fast to search for stuff. I like the web version. And the mobile version is not bad, the mobile app, except it's mostly just an e-reader for the books, which some people want. They're like, hey, I just want the PDF of the books. Well, that's as close as you're going to get. But I got to say, and granted, so in fairness, they gave me access to all of the stuff, but I also bought it right before they gave me access to all the stuff. So I have I have whatever they call it, the legacy thing, the big ass package that gives you access to everything. And I think it is worth it if you play the published adventures. There's a lot of published adventures, and the cost of those when you add that in are high. But like having all 3 main source books plus Sword Coast Adventures Guide and Xanathar's Guide, and then whatever adventure you're running, it just makes it so much easier to dig through all this. And it is nice to go back and pull up stuff from like Curse of Strahd. I found it really useful just for the maps, like going through the maps of the place. I actually stuck them all in my photo album, just so I have all of these maps to all these locations. And I've actually used the maps in Prince of the Apocalypse for all kinds of things. I used it in my Storm King's Thunder game when they were underneath the Purple Isles, and I pulled out the watery caves that they have in this, and it works great. So, yeah, big fan of D&D Beyond. Love the articles. James Hayek is just killing it with all these articles he's doing. He's really great. It's so much fun. His designing your first dungeon article is great. And I love the video series that Todd Kendrick does. They're wonderful. So it's a real hell of a resource. I hope I get to work for him. So I did a 6-article series for them. The 6 articles are up, but I'm hoping, and they seemed positive towards me writing more for them. But I was so buried with Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master stuff. I actually took 2 weeks off over the last 2 weeks to just do edits on that. Any other tidbits, interesting things? I don't even know if anybody's watching anymore. That's okay. I enjoy doing the streaming. I think I will go off and have some lunch. My friends, thank you for joining me today. I hope you found some interesting stuff. I hope it was fun to kind of get into someone's head while they prep a game. Not that my head's particularly better than anybody else's head, but I think it's fun to do this. I actually was at Starbucks getting ready to prep my game. I said, you know what? I'd rather go home and stream this, and I came running home to stream this. So thank you all. I will probably do another one of these tomorrow morning when I'm prepping my Tomb of Annihilation game for Sunday. So take a look out tomorrow, and if not, I will see you on some of the weekend. You guys have a great day. Enjoy International Tabletop Day.